Okay, all of you, welcome to Azure Data Engineer. Yesterday you attended session number 1, which is Introduction to Data Engineer Responsibilities and what are all the different products available into the Azure. Okay, for that. Sorry. So let's, in a high level, we discuss about Azure Data Engineer products. So Azure Data Engineer products basically, number 1, Azure SQL. So after that, let's go detail about each and every one. Second important thing is Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Factory. Azure Synapse Analytics. Simply say Synapse. The product name is Synapse Analytics. Mr. Kishore, can you see, please turn off your video, otherwise streaming will be delayed. And Azure Databricks. The next one is Azure Streaming. And Azure Cosmos DB. So these are the major products within our Azure Data Engineer. As a Azure Data Engineer, you will be involving with all these products. Of course, you need other integrations also. So for example, whenever you started working with Azure Data Factory, you need to extract data from multiple sources. That data source can be Azure pool, or that data source can be even out of Azure also. So at the time, you need to know some integrations also. Okay. So all the required things you will be learning. So first of all, in a we go for high level understanding. What is Azure SQL? Simply, what is Azure SQL?
It's a database.
It's a database. So the old name for this, just Microsoft has two things.
Is a cloud database.
Yes, exactly. If it is on-premise, database, you have a SQL server. If it is cloud, the cloud database is?
That is managed by Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you touched a good word called managed. Okay. Managed, there are some services called as managed services and unmanaged services in Azure. Managed service means you need not to worry about any virtual machines or any infrastructure. Simply you will take you will create an account into the Azure SQL, and you can store data, you can read data, you can perform all the read and write operations. Okay, but you need not to worry about the infrastructure about that. So even you need not to worry about even versions also for that. Whatever the version they are keeping at their own cloud, so same thing will be available to all the users. Okay, but one thing here, Azure SQL is simply used for online transaction processing. Simply you can say it as OLTP. Okay, so but not for the analytics, but not for the batch process, is used only for the OLTP. And Azure Data Lake, actually Azure Data Lake is having two products. You have the high level word is Azure Data Lake. It has two products basically: Data Lake storage second one is Data Lake analytics. Okay, so the basic advantage here, any volume of data you can store. That means any volume. Simply you can say unlimited storage.
And any variety of data also we can store, right?
Any variety of also. any variety also. The second benefit, any variety. The third benefit, any format. What is the difference between variety and format, man?
Like
Structured data, structured
semi-structured,
data.
unstructured.
Variety means you can say it as structured, unstructured, like
Yeah.
this. Okay.
The format means like whatever the format XML or anything.
Yes.
JSON. Yeah.
So it can be Excel file, it can be Parquet file, it can be zip file, it can be image, like that. Any that is what the meaning of format. Okay.
Shivram, I have one question on this Azure SQL.
Yeah, please.
So on-premise it was SQL Server, and
Yes.
cloud is this Azure SQL. So will there be any performance improvement also other than the cloud benefits? Scalability, definitely the cloud benefits scalability and automatically.
Number one, scalability.
Okay.
Number two, always high availability.
Yeah, these are all the cloud benefits I understood. Other
Yeah,
than that, any
that's it.
performance when we run the SQL when compared to on-premise and cloud?
No performance issues.
And you said Azure SQL is the OLTP. So here also we can store any structured the three volume, variety, veracity, all these things in the Azure SQL also.
No, you can store, but you cannot process.
Okay, so we should use kind of structured only Azure SQL.
Yes. You can store, even you take not only Azure SQL, you take any database. In those databases, you can store any variety of the data, but you cannot process all the varieties of the data. Okay. So semi-structured. So format means examples of different formats, like it can be even a binary files like zip, a compressed files like zip or Parquet. Okay. Or even if it is Excel. Any format of data. So finally all varieties of data you can store into this data lake, and also you can process all varieties of data. So here, this is for processing. For processing, it supports two things. Number one, USQL. Yesterday I told you simple about USQL. What is that USQL? Unified SQL. Is combination of
C#.
Yes, SQL plus C# is a combination of SQL plus C#. Okay. And second thing, it allows you to process data with the Databricks also. So simply in Azure, Databricks is available for all the platforms. In Azure, you call it as Azure Databricks. Okay. So here you do the process with PySpark. So that means it allows you to write your Java code of the Spark and even Python. Scala. Actually, if you talk about Spark, better keep Scala as the first one. Okay. And even for analytics, especially, there is a language called, only for analytics, there is a language called R language. Even you can write your Spark code into R language also. But most of our Azure data products are in PySpark. Okay. The PySpark means Python plus Spark. So this is Python plus Spark. So for now, please don't worry about Spark. Okay. Already some people here who are working on Spark, and some are who don't know about this Spark. Don't worry. When we start Databricks, we will start from basics. So this is our second product. So finally, two advantages. You can store any amount of data, any variety of the data, and any format of the data. After that, you can process that data. Okay. With Azure Data Analytics, there are two services: Data Lake Storage Service and Data Lake Analytics Service. Okay. First, you need to create account for the Data Lake Analytics. At the time of creating account only, it will ask you what is a storage account. Okay. Later, you will see in the practical part about this. And next one is third product, Azure Data Factory. Yesterday, a lot of discussion happened on Azure Data Factory. Sir, please go mute, sir. First, I will unmute you after 10 minutes. First, mute you. After my explanation completed, I will unmute you, sir. Then you can ask me. If it is Azure Data Factory, okay, the main purpose of this one is ETL. Is a ETL tool, cloud-based ETL tool. That's it. So is a ETL tool in cloud. Okay. What are the advantages of this one is when compared with the other traditional ETL tools, when compared with them, here the data pipeline creation, the data flow pipeline creation is very simple. Okay. So almost 98% without coding, you can perform all the activities about the ETL. So that is one of the basic advantage. Second advantage is Azure ADF can connect with any kind of data source. It can connect with SQL databases. It can connect with cloud SQLs, on-premise SQLs, and also it connect with no SQL databases also. That means it can so it can connect with any kind of sources and can write into any kind of other targets. That is another benefit. So Azure Data Factory is a simplified, not only simplified, you can say one more word, advanced. Cloud-based ETL. To design data flow pipelines. Simply in high level, you can say the statement as ETL pipelines. Okay, ETL means already you know, extract, transform, and then loading. And second advantage of this Azure Data Factory can connect with any kind of source. Can connect with any kind of data source. This is another advantage here. Example for these data sources like even SQL databases. That means RDBMS. And second, even it can work with NoSQL databases. But if you want to work with NoSQL database, based on the source, different plugins will be there. Okay, suppose MongoDB plugin is different. Cassandra is my NoSQL. The plugin is different, like that. Okay. And only the problem here is Azure Data Factory. Already in our last class, we have discussed about it. The problem with this one is on huge volume of data. You can say on huge volume of data. Performing transformations are slower. Of course, this is not only the problem of ADF. You take any other ETL tool, this is the problem. Okay, performing transformations on big volume, on big data, that is slower. Okay, so already you know other popular ETL tools. The popular ETL tools like Informatica, Data Stage, Ab Initio, Talend, Pentaho. In this way, many of ETL tools are there in the market. Of course, in the ETL industry, the leader in the ETL industry nowadays is Informatica only, but still, slowly, everyone is coming towards the cloud. Okay, I don't know what is the product name in AWS, but in Microsoft, the product name of this ETL is Azure Data Factory. Okay, so next one is Azure Synapse. So finally, as a ETL developer, your responsibility what? Connect with the data sources, perform the transformations, and finally load into some warehouse or some target. So that warehouse environment is Azure Synapse. Azure Synapse is data warehouse environment. Data warehouse in Azure Cloud. Okay. So when compared with, so this is exclusively designed for the batch processing. designed for batch processing, and you can say batch analytics also. Okay, but still the problem with this, again on huge volumes of data. So when I say huge volumes, please treat it in a multi, like 100 terabyte, 50 terabyte, 200 terabyte, like that. Okay, so on huge volumes of data, aggregations are slower. Simply you can say analytics processes are slower. For that solution, you have Azure Databricks. Okay, so this is a Spark environment in Azure. Okay, so here we have different components like a Spark core. So here you will be using RDD API. And second product in the Spark is Spark SQL, exactly equivalent to SQL only. Without writing complicated codes, simply 80% of the data can be processed with the Spark SQL. But only the condition is the data should be structured. If data is not structured, you have to write over, you have to plan the code into completely Spark core. Okay. And next one, Spark, we have MLib also. MLlib, machine learning library. And one more product here, Spark GraphX. Spark GraphX means to process graph algorithms, to process graph data. What do you mean by graph data, sir? What do you mean by graph data? Suppose 1 minute. So I'm not taking any complicated example. A simple example I'm taking. Let's take the example of Facebook connections, your social media connections. Okay, suppose this is you. And I'm adding you as a friend, or you are adding me as a friend in the Facebook. Okay, whenever you added me, one connection is created. Got it? The connection between the nodes, technically in the graph, these called as nodes. This is you, this is me. Whenever the connection is created, whenever you add me as a friend, one connection is created. This connected, this connection is called a graph. Suppose after that there is another person, one more person, one more person, one more person, like this. So this is me. This is he. It's she. Okay. Observe this. You added me as a friend. I have added him as a friend. And he has a friend, she. Again, she is already friend to you. Understand the point? So such kind of connection between the records. Suppose if you treat each object as a record to record connections will be there. The connections between the records is called a graph here. If such kind of graph data is available into your system, by using normal SQLs, you cannot process that data. Lot complicated algorithms will be there. To execute that complex graph algorithms, in Spark, we have a library. The library is Spark GraphX. Okay. And one more part here, Spark Streaming. Of course, here, especially in Azure, no need to use this Spark Streaming, because for this streaming, We have already one more product here, Azure Streaming. But definitely, if you whenever you step into the interview, they will ask you about Spark Streaming. Just have idea about it. Finally, more concentrate on Azure Streaming. So this is what Azure Databricks simply. So final advantage with this Azure Databricks is can execute complex algorithms on big volumes. With a high speed. Okay. Generally, sir, the process will be slower in two cases. I will tell you the example for that. For example, I have, okay, generally the data will be slower in two cases. Case number one, if volume is big. If volume is very big, okay. And second thing, sir, how to mute this chat? Can anyone tell me in Zoom? Yeah. So if volume is big, process will be slower. Second case is if algorithm complexity is high. Then processes will become slower. Okay, but so Spark is the best solution for this one. Even though big volume of data, even though your whatever the algorithm you're running, especially in data analytics, in data science, in machine learning, in deep learning, you are going to execute a lot complex algorithms. Okay. Simply, what do you mean by complexity? Simple thing. For example, you can say easy answer for if I ask you the question 2 plus 2. Okay. But if I ask you the question 178 into 299, your brain is feeling complexer or not? Like that. But this is not, this is computational complex. But algorithmic, I'm talking about algorithmic complex. Especially to train machine learning models, to train deep learning models, many algorithms are there, such as gradient descent algorithm, batch gradient, stochastic gradient. Okay. So in this way, many algorithms are there. Every algorithm is a complex. Every algorithm is highly iterative algorithms. So in such cases, generally our processes are going to be slower. So Spark is the best solution, even volume bigger, algorithm complex is also high. The Spark can execute your processes with very high speed. So how it is, why it is high speed? To understand that point, you have to wait till I explain you the Spark architecture, Spark internal architecture. Okay. So this is about Spark Azure Databricks. Especially here, we are going to learn PySpark over here, right? Python with Spark, that is called PySpark. So using PySpark, you can process a data lake data. You can process even Hive table data. If it is Hadoop, Hive environment will be there. You can process Hive table data. You can process Azure Synapse data. Anything you can process with high speed. Next one is you have the product called Azure Streaming. Azure Streaming is one minute. Okay, I'm writing the statement here is purpose of Azure Streaming to capture high speed streams, high speed streams of data, and can perform analytics over that. The technical name for that is micro batch analytics. It's not real-time analytics, it's near real-time analytics. Micro batch analytics. You can say near real-time analytics. Okay. And come to this one. So first, what do you mean by this near real-time analytics? I will unmute you, sir, for 5 minutes. Please interact with me. Unmuted, sir.
Yeah, what is the difference between streaming and Azure streaming?
Which streaming? You mean you're asking about
Yeah, Spark streaming. Spark
Yeah.
streaming.
nothing? Azure streaming is Microsoft product. Spark streaming is Apache product.
So here the real-time analytics means that
Hmm.
not really the real-time
Hmm.
data can be analyzed, but
Okay.
there is some little bit difference, like after maybe 2 minutes or 2 minutes, there will be some variation, I believe.
Yes, yes.
So we
So-
don't have a real-time processing thing here, or only the near real-time in Azure?
Only near real time. Only even in Spark streaming also near real time we have.
So best example is the Hotstar application. We can
Yes.
call.
Yes. The near real
So
time.
how
is-
about the Twitter data? Can we call it as a real-time one?
No,
Okay, streaming only.
streaming.
We can. Okay.
Suppose in Twitter, keep on tweets are coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Suppose you are interested about for every 4 seconds or for every 5 seconds, how many people are joining.
Okay.
From which location the most of people are joining. Most of people talking about what
Yeah.
are the people trends and what are the people taste preferences. Time to time taste and preferences will be changing. Okay.
Yeah.
Such kind of analytics you can perform by using Azure streaming and even by Spark streaming also.
So we can call it that scenario as a like real-time one, right?
No, near real time.
Okay. So
Near.
because we are holding for a few seconds.
Yes, at least you're waiting for 5 minutes or 5 seconds or 5 minutes, whatever the time may be.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one of the major complex thing for you, even for the industry. Okay. So, but in Azure streaming, the process became very simplified. Got it.
So offset commit, how are you going to do? Is same like streaming, or is any other way we need to do in Azure streaming? Offset commit.
Can you repeat the question once again, please?
Offset commit actually. Azure streaming, we need to do manual commit each record, each batch.
Yes.
So how are you going to do with Azure streaming? Is it same way or is it any other?
Same way only.
Okay.
Same
Kafka,
way only.
using the Azure streaming, we can do Kafka Connect or Kafka stream.
Yeah. One point here. You touched a very good point here. If it is a Spark streaming, you have to use 2 components here. Additionally, you need to take help of Kafka. Okay. In the case of Azure streaming, no need to use Kafka because the Azure streaming has its own queuing mechanism. So finally, Azure streaming is a messaging system and near real-time processing system.
So what is the backend system for Azure streaming, Shira?
Maybe they might be using Kafka. Most of Azure products, the backend systems are even Apache products.
Right. So if you go in depth and analyze more, end of the day, it will be either the Apache Hadoop. It will sit on the same.
Yes.
core, right?
Even if you talk about data lake also, data lake is what? Data lake is running on top of Hadoop only.
Right. So these are all this cloud era and MR. All these are flavors of the core systems, right?
That's it.
I have one question on the Azure Data Factory. You said it can connect with any type of data. So if at all we have to use it for on-premise instead of Informatica, I can use Azure Data Factory?
No. For on-premise, you cannot use.
Okay. So again, it is for any kind of data within cloud.
No. I missed your question. I misunderstood your question. Azure Data Factory is purely cloud-based.
So we
Purely
cannot use
cloud-based.
it. Let us suppose I have Oracle on premise.
No. You can use it for on-premise. You can use it for cloud.
Okay, instead of Informatica, I can use ADF.
Yes. But you can't separately install ADF into your system. That is
Exactly, so
completely cloud. Yeah, but it can connect with on-premise databases, cloud databases, and also with NoSQL databases like MongoDB, Cassandra.
Right,
and
when you are
CouchDB.
saying we cannot install it separately, let us suppose I want to use, instead of Pentaho or Informatica, I want to use ADF. What is the solution? How we can do that?
No, completely only the, you need to go for cloud only. Okay. Instead of purchasing Pentaho or Informatica licenses, go as take account of ADF and go in the model of pay as you go.
You touched the correct point. So what about the budget and on the costing factor when we compared with the other tools?
Very cheaper. Very cheaper. Very cheaper. Already, you know, this is Microsoft product. Microsoft basically it is giving cheaper services.
Okay.
And also one more point, all of you remember. Don't say that you are learning Azure. That's why don't think that Azure is always great. AWS is also great. Google is also great. But only one reason which attracted me in Azure is the cost. Okay, the cost. So what are the products offering? Of course, with the different product names, even AWS is also offering data engineer. Google also is offering data engineering. But price is very cheaper in Azure. Okay.
Since the price is cost for the other two competitors, whether they're providing any premium services compared to Azure?
Nothing. Suppose if you talk about AWS will highlight itself as I am expert in security. Microsoft, if you go for the Microsoft is also saying same statement.
Okay, because since we ladder up once we go to this manager and all those things, definitely we should look after this budget thing. Very important.
Main budget. If budget is the criteria, simply Microsoft is the solution. Azure is the solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One question regarding Azure Data Lake Analytics and Azure Synapse Analytics. So what is the difference between those things?
My dear friend, please wait for 5 minutes. Let me finish that 7th point. I come back to your question.
For performance, which service is better, sir?
So you are comparing with other cloud?
Yeah, sir.
No, nothing. Azure is offering 100% performance. AWS is offering 100% performance.
But there is no lagging between them. If the data is like 1 petabyte or 10 petabytes.
See, man, systems are ready. Only driver is important. Okay. Suppose I am writing a code. The code is executed in 15 minutes. If you write the code may be executed in 30 minutes. You and me are executing the same process on the same system. Understood?
Yeah, got
so it's all purely based on the driver. That's it.
Optimization.
Yes.
The optimization technique we take.
Yes. How optimizing? How you can optimize? That is important. Okay. Okay, sir. Just for 5 minutes, I will unmute you.
So one question.
Please give me 5 minutes time. After completion of 7th point, I will come to your question. Okay. Just 5 minutes. Because the entire movie is good, but climax is not good. That's why. Come to this Cosmos DB. This Cosmos DB is a NoSQL database. In Azure Cloud. That in the NoSQL, we have different varieties of the NoSQLs, different categories of that means different types of the NoSQL databases are there. So this comes under document storage, document database, you can say, or document store. Okay. So there are generally in NoSQL, there are 4 types. Number 1, key value store. Document store, columnar store, graph store. If it is key value store, the example products here, let's say React, and one more product, Azure Key Vault. Okay. And if it is document store, the popular one is MongoDB. If it is AWS, you have DynamoDB. I don't know the name. What is the product of Google? I forget that name. Later I will check and I will update you. If it is Azure, you have Cosmos DB. And if it is Apache, you have CouchDB. In this way, different products, competitors' products are there. Of course, nowadays everything is open source. Only if it is cloud, pay-as-you-go model. Okay, so it depends on the resources used by your services. Then the payment, the bill will be applied to you. And next one is the third one is columnar store. The columnar store examples, Hadoop, Cassandra. Not Hadoop. In Hadoop, you have the product called HBase, Cassandra. Okay. Even nowadays, completely Snowflake architecture is based on columnar store databases architecture. If we talk about this, Snowflake is one of the rising and you can say not bus, not aeroplane, not helicopter. You can say Snowflake as a rocket. Okay. So the architecture of the Snowflake is created based on the columnar store databases. And also it is supporting even batch processes like Hadoop parallelism, Hadoop Spark parallelism. Okay, so so it has extracted many goodness of different flavors. So what exactly in Climax we will discuss about that Snowflake database. Okay, and next one is a Graph Store. In Graph Store, you have the popular database in the Graph Store is Neo4j. But already in the previous, we talked about Spark GraphX. Okay, this Spark GraphX is for batch processing, batch of the graph data, batch process on graph data. But this Neo4j is for OLTP. That means online. That means you can say real time graphs. Okay. So what exactly the purpose of this purpose of NoSQL databases is two advantages are generally. Let me explain this. Basically, if you talk about the servers are two types. Let's say database servers. In database servers point of view, I will explain this. Distributed servers and non-distributed servers. What is the difference between these two things? I am unmuting you, please answer me. You take any database, Oracle or MySQL, even SQL Server, even if it is cloud, Azure SQL, whatever it may be. Generally, these databases are two types, distributed and non-distributed. What is the difference between them? Hello. Sorry, I did not unmute you, sir. It's my mistake. Hello.
Yeah, it's MongoDB is fault tolerance. Nothing but distributed is fault tolerance.
In non-distributed, the data may be residing on a single server or machine.
Yes, this statement is correct.
Distributed is like means Hadoop. It will be clustered everywhere. The data will be submitted many places. And non-distributed is like centric system. Everything will be stored in only one place.
Suppose you treat this box as a CPU, CPU of your server. Okay. Think that this is Oracle. For Oracle, your infrastructure is the CPU. I want to scale this data. I want to scale up the capacity. Suppose already existed capacity is like this, 16 GB RAM I have. 1 terabyte storage hard disk I have. Let's say some 5 gigahertz processing speed I have, the processor. I want to increase the RAM capacity. What is the general style, sir? What is general style?
Multiply the systems.
No need to add.
Upgrade.
You can add one more RAM chip. Right?
Vertical scaling.
Vertical scaling, correct word. Correct word is vertical scaling. In the case of vertical scaling, by adding a component or by replacing a component, you are scaling up the data. But what is the problem in this model is
Max 128 GB to 1 TB RAM we
Compatibility.
can add.
System won't,
That we can't
system
add.
won't support.
I want your laptop RAM should be 1 terabyte. Is it possible?
No.
Because of two reasons it is not possible. Reason number 1 terabyte RAM is not available in market. Reason number 2, even tomorrow technology released 1 terabyte of RAM, but your motherboard, your existed infrastructure may not support that one. Okay, so that's why this kind of scaling is called vertical scaling. In vertical scaling, the problem is up to limited capacity only. Up to limited capacity, you can scale up data. You can scale up. For this solution is, what is another scaling type, sir?
Horizontal scaling.
Horizontal scaling.
So we can increase the nodes.
Yeah. In the case of horizontal scaling, so here what happened in the vertical scaling, one single CPU, that means one CPU act as a server. Okay. In case of horizontal scaling, a cluster act as a server. What do you mean by the cluster?
Group of nodes.
And different kind of nodes.
Yes, you can say. Yes.
Master slave nodes.
Better word is network of nodes. Okay?
Multiple instances.
Yes, that means a cluster act as a server. That means is a network of nodes. Network of nodes is cluster. So the thing will be like this. Suppose still I am talking about the database Oracle. Okay. Don't talk about Hadoop or something. Oracle is also distributed cluster. SQL Server is also distributed cluster. If it is a cluster, generally you have one master node and remaining slave nodes or you can say worker nodes. Okay. Think that, sir, all this in our cluster, there are totally 6 nodes are here. One master, remaining slaves. So where data will be stored?
Worker node.
In worker nodes, data will be stored. Data will be processed by worker nodes only. Data stored in worker, data processed by worker. Then master is monitoring, controlling, simply managing. Okay, think that I have 5 nodes here. My storage capacity of each node is 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte each. Again here 1, and finally 1. Now what is the total storage of my server now?
5 TB.
5 terabyte. Suppose today, my max limit of 5 terabyte got reached. Then I want to scale up.
One more system in the cluster.
Add one more node.
More nodes in the.
Yes. In the previous style, you have added a component, but here instead of adding a component, you are adding nodes. Okay. Understood. But how many you can add? How many you can add in the Oracle? The max limit by the Oracle is 250 nodes in Oracle. All of you understood this limitation? If I have limitation like this, can you go for unlimited storage? Can you promise to your customer or your client as unlimited storage? Sir. You cannot. Okay. So come to this point here. Not only Oracle, let's compare with other databases. First, I am talking about OLTP databases. So based on this, why these databases are not used for the data warehouse, you can understand it. Okay, let's talk about our SQL servers. In case of SQL server, the max limit of nodes is 108 nodes only. If it is Oracle, 256. If it is MySQL, when MySQL started its career by the Apache, it has 54. After that, they migrated to 108. After that, they migrated to 256, similar to Oracle. Of course, nowadays, latest version of the SQL server is also 256. Even the great database, which is IBM's database, DB2, if you talk about this, here also there is a limit called 252. If it is Sybase, for DB2, 256. If it is Sybase, 108 only, like this. So in all these cases, you cannot promise unlimited storage. That means definitely huge volumes of data you cannot store. Sir, 10 years back story was different. 10 years back, your entire organization history is in 5 terabyte or 10 terabyte. But nowadays, organizations already reached daily terabytes of data. Even some Facebook kind of organizations, they have achieved daily petabyte of data. Okay. So here there are limitations. Okay, let's talk about data warehouses. Let's talk about data warehouses. Data warehouse databases. The popular one here, Teradata. Here there is a limit, 1024 nodes only. Okay, one more, Netezza. Actually, Netezza is some other different company, but IBM has acquired that one. If it is Netezza, you have again 1024 nodes. Okay, and if it is Vertica, you have only the limitation is like 512 nodes, 512 nodes. Come on, come to your Hadoop, sir. Hadoop is not a database. It's a warehouse. Is a file system used for the warehouse, modern warehouses. In Hadoop, how many nodes that you can keep? Anyone? All of you, most of people are here without a Hadoop background. If it is
Unlimited.
Yes, unlimited. You can say. Unlimited. Suppose today you have 1000 nodes. Tomorrow the storage got filled. Again, you can scale up with another 1000 nodes. You have the facility, unlimited storage. Okay. And even if you talk about our product, which is the data lake. Okay. Data lake backend finally Hadoop. Data lake backend is finally Hadoop. So indirectly we are getting the facility of unlimited data storage in the data lake, right? Okay. But observe this.
What about Snowflakes?
Same feature, sir. Already told you. Already told you.
Alternative of Hadoop, sir. There any alternative for Hadoop?
What I can say is Hadoop is old ambassador car, sir. Snowflake is latest bench car, sir. That's it. Did you understand my statement?
Yeah, I got it, sir.
And Snowflake doesn't replicate data, and Hadoop replicates the data.
In Snowflake also replication is available, sir.
Okay.
Snowflake also available. So without replication, they don't go for the parallel processing system, sir. Remember.
So Snowflake is the update version of the Hadoop, right, sir?
Not update version, modernized version.
Okay.
Modernized version. Okay.
Yes, core is Hadoop, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
That means inspired from, not core is Hadoop, inspired from Hadoop.
So the processing will be again on top of Snowflakes and Spark, sir. Is it correct?
In Snowflake, additionally, you can take help of the Spark. No need to take help of Hadoop.
Yeah, I am working on Snowflake. Snowflake is having many things. Okay, you can make use of Spark to process. You can make use of many things. It is providing APIs, like how we have like for Spark, like Java and all APIs. Similarly, we have APIs. Like the data will be there, and which you want to use to perform, that depends upon you.
Yes. That is that too. Snowflake is also completely the cloud based.
Performance of Snowflake will be better, or the performance of Spark will be better while processing?
See, Snowflake, it is a database, okay, and for processing, like how Hadoop is a data file system, and to process it, we'll make use of Spark for execution, right? Similarly, based upon your requirement, you can choose that whether you want to go with the Spark and all. It depends upon your project.
Sir, everything, sir, based on entire our explanation, I told you one process called ELT, right? Where ELT is exactly best fit, already yesterday I explained. Whenever ELT come into the picture, go with the processing with the Spark only, especially on huge volume. Okay. So that is a like a super rocket speed Spark, the Spark processing with the Spark means. Okay. Yeah. And come back to this point, sir, where I stuck here. What was our last question? If it is look at OLTP server, sir. Okay, first look back to data warehouse databases, Teradata, Netezza, Vertica. Why I'm leaving them? Why I can't store multiple, that means unlimited data into that? Hello?
Because
They
of
are
limitation.
limited nodes.
Limited nodes.
Yeah, limitation is there. In Hadoop, that is solving. Of course, Azure tomorrow, AWS coming with some feature. Day after tomorrow, Google is coming with some feature. Whatever it may be, simple solution is unlimited scalability facilities there. Okay. For processing, you have different weapons again. Old one, MapReduce, latest one, Spark, like that. But if it is OLTP means what? Direct end user transactions. You take any database, there is a limitation for OLTP. But you know, Facebook transactions count, sir. 3 trillion transactions. Don't ask me how many zeros for 3 trillion. 3 trillion transactions for 10 seconds. That many number of transactions are happening. It may be like, it may be dislike, it may be a post, it may be a sign up, it may be a sign in, whatever it may be. So 3 trillion transaction within 10 seconds that is happening. Think that just imagine for Facebook backend storage is Oracle, sir. Can you imagine? Hello?
So then it will be a horrible situation for Facebook, sir. Every minute they have to keep on changing the databases.
That too, how much they have to change? How many nodes that they can scale up? So if
max will be reached in 10 to 12 minutes, the maximum will be filled 108.
That's it.
Or 256.
So that's why our Oracle, our SQL server is in our laptops only, not at Facebook, sir, remember. Okay. So to support such kind of huge volumes of transactions, the solution is with NoSQL. So here, the facility, first facility, number one, first facility.
MongoDB.
Yes, example is MongoDB. But Facebook is using many databases, many NoSQL databases. But problem with NoSQL database is one single NoSQL will not solve all kinds of problems. Sir, mute.
So here I have a question here. Sorry, like for NoSQL, there is no limit, right?
1 minute, sir. 1 minute, someone speak. Now I am unmuting you. Please ask me. Yes, sir.
In case of NoSQL, there is no limit. We can scale it up to in case of Facebook, it wants to do 3 trillion transaction in 10 seconds, right? Like what it is using underlying, is it using Hadoop or like
no.
It's going with
your signing means there is online operation or batch operation. You are signing. Think that you are
it's an
signing.
online one.
Online. Your sign up means posting a message means reading a message means almost all the operations are not batch operations, right?
Yes.
Online operations.
Everything
For all online, Hadoop will not support.
Okay.
Okay. For
so
online.
I got a question.
1 minute, sir. For online, so go with NoSQL. So first advantage here, high scalability. Don't say that unlimited, because most of NoSQL databases are not supporting unlimited. If it is MongoDB, you have a limit of 4,000 nodes. If 4,000 nodes got crossed, there is indirect facility called a data sharing facility is there. Okay, at the time, by using indirect ways, finally you can promise. By using direct solution or indirect solution, you can promise unlimited volumes of storage. You take any social media, or you take even any e-commerce site or online selling site. So they are using these NoSQL databases. Okay. And second thing is, second advantage is very faster read operations. This is one of the biggest challenges, sir. Sir, one point here. You are just a one. You are just a one. I am just a one among trillions of users in the Facebook. Even though if I give my user ID password, within fraction of seconds, I am getting into the application. Understanding? Suppose if really that much of trillions of transactions are there in our regular databases, if you give your sign-in authentication information just to identify you, just to recognize you as a valid person, it may take hours time. Okay, even though like a high volume of data is there, faster random read, you can say. In case of Hadoop, we are doing in a batch reading style. But for the online, random reading is required. The second advantage of NoSQL databases is faster read operations. Third advantage, I forgot what to say. Schemaless. That means schemaless means not no schema, dynamic schema, you can say. Yesterday I told you Amazon example. Amazon is maintaining 750 different categories of the products. Suppose books is one category. For books, the fields are different. That means the attributes of a book is different. For product laptop, attributes different. For product TV, again, attributes different. Generally, in the case of traditional databases, for each category of the product, you need to go for a different table. All TVs you need to keep into one table. All laptops you need to keep into one table. Even there are some questions, some casual questions here. For example, I'm asking person number one, are you married? This is my question. I think you are already on mute. Please answer me, sir. I'm asking one person, are you married? If the reply think that, yes. Okay, for some time you...
No.
Please.
Single.
Hello. Sir, for some time you are not married, sir. Your answer, you said your answer is no. Shall I ask you, what is your wife name? Or spouse name? Can I ask you this? Is it valid question?
No.
Right. But let's talk about a second person, sir. For this question, the answer is yes. Now, can I ask what is your wife name? Yes. So person one, person two, both are in my databases. But one person, the question is valid. For another person, the question is invalid. Understood my point? In this way, if you are from USA, my required questions are different. If you are from India, my required questions are different. In this way, we are integrating worldwide people. Suppose I want to maintain all the databases, person to person attributes are different. In case of Amazon, product to product attributes are different. But I want to keep all the products into one table. I want to keep all the persons from all the different categories into one person, into one table. Definitely RDBMS is not the good solution for this, because in RDBMS already, you know, we are storing data into tables. But before creating table only, at the time of creating table only, you are fixing some schema, right? You are fixing some structure, right? Within the limits of that structure only, you have to work if it is RDBMS. But in NoSQL, okay, record to record, different structures that you can maintain. So that is another attractive point, which is schemaless in NoSQL. So whatever the scenario I have explained, that is best satisfied by the MongoDB, equivalent to MongoDB with the same performance in Azure, you have the product called Azure Cosmos DB. Now you just after completion of this entire these 7 products, when compared with the traditional ETL developer, what might be your challenges as a data engineer? When compared with the traditional ETL developer, now your challenges might be what?
High storage management.
Storage management. Okay, forget about storage, especially ETL point of view. Traditional ETL and normal Informatica developer, these are ETL developers.
Now we have to do means
It can connect to any type of databases.
That means the challenges, the great headaches here. Lot data is streaming data. Lot data is NoSQL data. That too in NoSQL you have. Suppose in Facebook, if I sign up, if I sign up in Facebook, my data will be stored in MongoDB. Immediately my user ID password will be kept into React. At the time of sign in, it is taking input for it is validating me from the React. If I do some search, activity, the search activity is based on the Cassandra. Okay, if I join you as a friend, connection is created. Okay, one node is joining another node. The connection between node is called a graph. The graphs will be stored in Neo4j. Now, what are your data sources here? Not only Oracle SQL, not only these things. Oracle might be for business transactions, they might keep that into Oracle or SQL server. But what about non-business operations? What about non-business operations? What about campaigns that are running under Facebook or Google? All these are non-business operations. All non-business activities will be stored in these NoSQL databases. That means my source can be MongoDB, my source can be Cassandra, it can be Neo4j, or even it can be if it is the commercial data, SQL source is there, and lot data is streaming data. Lot data is streaming data. In this way, many things. Okay.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, earlier during the lecture, you told us about Neo4j and then MongoDB, right, sir?
Yes, sir.
So I have this question, like you told us that MongoDB is PD because it is saving up data like without any schema. So if a data is schema-less, so the data will get sparse. And if the data will get sparse, how is it going to be speedy? Like it's going to take much more time instead of being speedy.
Yeah. If you talk about speed, very super speed, sir, because the internal execution algorithm is different for the MongoDB. Generally, in case of databases for random reading, it is working with the binary tree algorithm. Okay, but MongoDB is using special algorithms. Got it? Because of that algorithm, because of the architecture, because of the distributedness, because of the parallelness, because of the data sharedness, MongoDB is high speeder.
Sir, can you say the algorithm name of MongoDB?
I forget, sir, actually. I forgot that algorithm name. Generally, in RDBMS databases, that algorithm, the internal backend algorithm for identifying a record randomly, binary tree algorithm.
Sir, okay. Is it like a hash map combined with B trees?
Maybe internally they might use different things. Okay, maybe. So binary tree is good for very less volume, sir. Binary tree. Really, if the data is like a data volume is in multiple crores of records, okay, binary tree will take a lot of time to identify a record randomly. Okay? Of course, we don't trigger any algorithm. Simply in databases, we create index object. The index structure will use binary tree algorithm. But what algorithm the MongoDB is using, we need to verify. Okay, all of you, 1 minute.
Mute somebody.
So MongoDB is feasible for only higher transaction data, right?
Yeah.
I just muted you all. Please, please, all of you go for mute. I'm unmuting you, please. Sir, someone is going to ask me, please ask. Hello, sir.
Yeah, MongoDB is feasible for only for higher level transaction. That means huge transactions only. So it is not going to feasible for less transactions, right? That means.
Yes. MongoDB supports less volumes, middle volumes, high volumes, anything. But suppose if it is my business, for my business, it might not be required because my data is structured data. So for your business, it may be required because you have multi categories of the products you have. So at the time, go for MongoDB. You can use only for small data also, you can use for big volumes also, anything. But only the NoSQL databases limitation is NoSQL doesn't support batch process. So simply, if you talk about big data, sir, if you talk about big data available in online, big data available in batch. If it is online, go for NoSQL. If it is batch, go for Hadoop or your data lake. For processing, use Spark. Direct Spark or data Spark with Databricks. You can choose it like this. Okay.
So a small question.
Tell me, sir.
Sir, you told us about batch processing. So evidently, because of the schema structure, batch processing is way more faster, right, sir? So if the data is small enough, we could take the game onto batch processing much more.
Yes.
And we can delve into NoSQL databases.
Yes.
Okay, sir. That was what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Sir, one question. In NoSQL, writing the data and reading the data both will be faster than NoSQL databases.
Faster than RDBMS. NoSQL is faster than RDBMS. Okay.
Okay.
But it depends on the use case. You have different varieties of NoSQLs again.
Okay, since we are storing unstructured, semi-structured while writing the data,
yes,
while retrieving also will be faster, right?
Yeah, one
Because
thing. What you want to retrieve, that is important. You want to retrieve only one particular user record, then faster. You want to retrieve all users of today, that is slower. At the time, go for the batch.
Okay.
Understood.
Sir, I have one doubt. Like yesterday, you explained about streaming, right? It's like continuous flow of data.
Yes.
But what exactly is like streaming of data in like Azure? Can you just elaborate a little bit? Is the streaming of data you are seeing in Azure?
All of you, to understand this question, all of you, please open your WhatsApp. Come on, just have a small look, man. I'm not asking you to send me any message. What are all the different groups available, especially in WhatsApp for our training program? Free AZDR training, training 2, training 3, training 4, training 5. Okay, sir. Now, think that we stopped chatting in that. Already we are working somewhere, but without our knowledge, keep on messages will be keep on coming, right? For every thing that now already groups got filled. All of you people are in the classroom. That's why the chat is sleeping now. Generally, what will happen when group is initially created? People keep on coming, keep on coming. That is streaming or static?
Streaming.
Streaming. With that streaming, what kind of analytics that you can perform? Okay, for streaming here in Azure, you have Azure streaming product. What is expected for by this Azure? What is expected by this? This streaming. What is expected?
Catch the real-time data.
Catch the real-time data. That means tomorrow something that one plugin is there for the WhatsApp. Think that I am using WhatsApp API. Whenever one event, whenever one message is posted in any group of mine, immediately that has to be captured by the Azure streaming. Point number 1. Okay, so your first expectation is capture the stream, right? Next, what you wanted to do that once captured, what next?
How many people joined? How many
doing analysis?
Oh, please tell me the analysis example here. What kind of
how many people?
Number of count.
So suppose I am interested from how many countries? Okay. From how many countries people are there. Suppose from, I am expecting a report like this from India, let's say 300 people, from USA, let's say 200 people, such kind of things. But nowhere, no one specified country name. How can I get it?
It has to store.
How can I get it? You suppose you are available in my group, but you did not say I'm Indian, I am US citizen. Yes.
Based on location.
Mobile number? No, by using mobile number.
Okay.
Mobile number, country code.
Yeah,
Country code.
Country code of your mobile number. That means a transformation required or not?
Yes.
That mobile number, the initial prefix, the country code to be converted as country name. So the transformation recorded. Transformation is required. After that, finally, I need to perform analytics. That too, I am interested here, not every day night. I am interested about for every 10 seconds. As a small businessman, I am interested at for every 10 seconds. Suppose you are a biggest businessman, that your data inflow is daily your streams data inflow is terabytes. Okay. You are not interested to generate a report today night or tomorrow morning. For every 10 seconds, you want to understand what your customers are talking about your product. Suppose this is the first analytics where I am going to perform. The second, my second analytics, okay, is like this. Spam. Daily spam messages automatically you are observing in the groups. Suppose today's spam messages are 20, the non-spam, let's say 100 messages. Total, I think that for every 10 seconds, how many spams are coming, how many non-spams are coming. I want to analyze. Please tell me, give me guidelines for my second task. This is the final, finally we are going to perform a project on our live data.
And
So
another thing is that whenever we start typing, it suggests the word, right? Suppose I'm writing, I want to write something in Hindi, but since Hindi alphabet is or that keyboard is not installed, I will try to write in English. So suppose I am writing something khana khaya ki nahi. So if I write khana, the next word khaya would be automatically suggested by this thing.
So generally Google is doing that one only.
Yeah, Google or WhatsApp, everybody is doing, even in Facebook also, if you
Actually, how it will happen is, in case of deep learning, okay, in case of deep learning, there is an algorithm called recurrent neural networks. Recurrent neural networks, yeah, algorithm, another algorithm, LSTM, a recent algorithm, GRU, such kind of algorithms will be used. So here, what my thing is, I want to do some sentiment analysis. So first of all, I want to recognize whether the message is spam or non-spam. I want to train a model. The trained model should be executed for every 10 seconds. So for every 10 seconds, I am interested about how many spams are there, how many non-spams are there. So here, what products that I can use is, I can use the product Azure Streaming. I can use the product Spark MLlib. That means within the Databricks. But within Microsoft also there is Azure Machine Learning is there. But I did not like that Azure Machine Learning when compared with the Spark Machine Learning. Okay. So what are the reasons? Once we step into that machine learning part, I will explain. So here, what is the role of these two things, sir? What is the role of these two things? What Azure Streaming is doing? In my task, what Azure Streaming is doing?
Collecting the data.
It is capturing the data first immediately. As streams are generated, it is keep capturing. Immediately Spark MLlib, the machine learning model will be executed there. Again, finally, it is transforming the message into spam or non-spam. Spam or non-spam. Suppose message 1 spam, message 2 non-spam, message 3 non-spam, like this. Once that got transformed, I will apply the summary with again Azure Streaming, because I am interested about for every 10 seconds. All of you understood? Okay. And my next third analytics is, how many satisfied, not satisfied. I want that one. Suppose think that it's not our training program, it's some suppose some product selling group. Just imagine like that. So how you have a bunch of customers, how many customers, that means how many positive comments and how many negative comments. So whatever the task here you are observing, so this task can be generally done by any kind of warehouses, any kind of ETL tools. Okay, but what about second? What about third? Okay, only Spark kind of systems can process that kind of streams. That kind of, here two things: the stream volume is bigger. At the same time, the second problem is algorithm complexity. So here to do this, especially I have to use algorithms of NLP, natural language processing algorithms I need to use. Understand? Algorithm complexity high. At the same time, data inflow is high. That too, my badness is I'm expecting this result in for every 10 seconds or 20 seconds. These are the problems. All of you understood?
Yeah.
So
Sir,
this is
I
what
have one
exactly,
question.
1 minute. This is exactly the Azure streaming is. Sir, can you hold your question for 20 minutes because a small coffee break? So don't forget the question. Madam, previously you asked me about Azure streaming. Got clarified?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the
Thank you
purpose
so
of this
much.
one is this one. Okay, all of you, please give me the time. What is the time now? 8:30. 8:32. Yes.
8:50.
Better 8 by 8:50. I will log in, sir. Same link, sir. So I will for now I will disconnect this meeting. Please rejoin into that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
अभी कहाँ है?